The drive to the museum was peaceful, a nice sunny day allowing Elaine and I to talk. I loved watching the shadows of the trees and buildings bouncing off her flawless pale skin. This, accompanied with her natural ability of listening, was an ignition source for talking. Through conversation, my dream eventually slipped out.
Wait, so you dreamt that a camera was like some virtual reality?
Well, I think more of like an alternate reality, and the camera seemed more like a doorway to that reality.
You really must have hit your head hard.
We both laughed as we pulled into the employees-only parking lot. The museum was closed on Sundays, so it was nice and quiet, but also eerie. Like a large holding cell for inanimate prisoners who were too beautiful to be left out in the world where the evils of Earth could taint them. We popped open the first box in the stack. It was a camcorder that still used a small film tape. The next box was an older flip phone that seemed to have been run through a microwave. But looking at the screen, it was fully intact. The third box we opened was a simple box monitor. One that had never seen a Windows or Mac operating system. It probably collected dust at a library somewhere in a back corner, never feeling the gentle click of its power button. In the fourth box, we found the digital camera. It was 90s silver and had only a handful of buttons on it. I was mesmerized, and yet not entirely sure why.
I don't understand what this guy was thinking. I'd assume he was scamming us, but he already wired the money for a full refund before we even sent the boxes back.
I twirled the camera in my hand, examining it closely as we sat down on a ledge nearby. I wanted to understand why I was drawn to it so intently, scanning every last detail into my brain. What was it about these items that was so intriguing? I set the camera down. Elaine, I really think we should reconsider sending these back. Do you not feel that?
Feel what? I'm confused now.
She tilted her head at me. She was so cute when she did this. The innocence of an angel radiated from her as I stared into her eyes. She put her arm around my shoulder as I looked back down at the items. I gently placed the camera back in the packing and leaned back. Nothing.
Kellen, can I ask you something?
Yeah, of course, I replied almost shakily, too nervous from her caressing touch to concentrate on the camera. I tried to lean onto my arms to seem cool, but I know it was a dismal flop.
How much do you truly understand about me?
I paused at this and thought hard. I wasn't quite sure what she was asking or why she was even asking it. The random question stewed in my head for a moment. The question just came out of nowhere. I turned to look and speak with some bullshit answer when just like that, she slid closer to me and put another hand on my knee. She smiled intently. I knew exactly what she was doing. I tensed up, almost entirely forgetting what had just happened. Too flustered to even speak at this point. If it weren't for my elbows locked into place as support beams for my own head, I would have melted into a puddle then and there. She slowly pursed her lips and kissed me on the cheek. I turned to her. You just... What? She just smiled once more as I grabbed either side of her face softly and pressed her lips to mine. Like fireworks streaming into the sky, my sensations took off. My world had finally been complete. I lost all ambition at this point as we continued to stay interlocked for several minutes, before locking the doors and proceeding on to what logically comes next in this course of events. Lying on a stack of cardboard boxes, our clothes thrown over us as a weak imitation of a blanket guarding our naked bodies, I sighed happily. I ran my fingers through her hair as she listened to my heartbeat while resting on my chest. I finally had her. My dreaming turned reality. I had finally accomplished the task of which I previously thought impossible. As I went to close my eyes, I noticed a slight glowing coming from near the loading dock. As I cocked my head, the light vanished. I sat up slowly, looking over to the objects. I could have sworn the light emitted from those pieces of the exhibit we were returning.
What's wrong?
Elaine mumbled as she rubbed her eyes. I couldn't find the words to respond. Had I really just seen that? No, it couldn't have been.
Kellen.
Nothing. I must have sounded awfully short with her, because at this point she began to dress herself.
Is someone there?
She pulled in close to me, speaking silently in my ear. I don't think so.
Well, we better go anyway. You know how much trouble we'd get in? Plus, I'm sure Marsh has already come up with his stupid pervy ideas that we'll probably hear all about when we get home.
I started dressing myself, but all the while never taking my eyes off the crate. I had a sinking feeling as my head began to pulsate. We should get going, I said with intent. Not really ready to solve this mystery yet, I wanted to head home with my new, what I assumed was now, girlfriend. I wanted to leave the camera behind. We began walking out of the door when I could feel the stinging, burning sensation as my hands began to vibrate heavily. The world began to darken as I no longer had control of my body. I could faintly hear Elaine call my name as I fell, but all I could do was listen and depart into the utter blackness once more.
Kellen? Kellen, wake up! God damn it, Kellen, no!
I felt a hard slap across the face knock me full force back into consciousness. I pushed myself backwards quickly with eyes seemingly popping out of my skull. It all started coming back in little increments. The fall, the trip to the museum, even the conversation after I had gone home the previous day. Was I... No, fuck. Maybe I should go to the hospital. Just like that, Elaine sat back on her heels and began speaking in a stoic, monotonous voice.
That won't help you, Kellen.
She began to grin, a horrifying grin. Her smile widened so intensely the corners of her mouth began to tear up her cheeks, slowly towards her ears. Her dark blue eyes glossing over completely black. She slowly lurched toward me. I screamed and fumbled towards the door. At this point, I took off running. In my panic, I made the mistake of looking back to find nothing. I slowed to a standstill and turned my body to face the direction my pursuer should have been. She was gone. Everything was gone. No boxes where we had lay in each other's arms. No old museum pieces hanging out in the wide open space. Not even carpet on the floor. That's when I heard a gurgling behind me. I turned around, terrified but too petrified to move. There, On the floor were all 4 pieces of the exhibit. Screens lit to reveal dirt on the ground. The digital camera lay closest to me, and as I backed away, I stumbled and fell to the floor. Around my ankle was Elaine's hand, a pale, ghastly version of it, dragging me into the camera. I kicked and punched and thrashed, and all the while screaming my lungs out until I could see blood spraying with each yell from my vocal cords and my throat tearing. She reached and grabbed my index finger, her vice grip dragging me towards the screen. My struggle was merely met with the sounds of popping tendons as my knuckles dislocated. My finger was half an inch into the screen as I saw the camera battery light flicker red, finally, completely powering down. I screamed in pain. My right index finger had blood flowing from it as it had been cleanly severed. My knuckles dangled as I watched all the other screens fall dark, thrusting me into the absolute darkness once again. This time I was screaming and crying out for help until I began to fade. I sprang up in bed, sweating and screaming, tears rolling from my eyes as I curled into a fetal position, shaking violently. My heart pounding, I gripped my chest as Elaine and Marshall burst through my door. Out of my fading vision, I could see all my fingers completely intact. They were frantic, Elaine screaming over the phone to 911 as Marshall gripped me in his arms, wrapping me in a tense, protective hug and calmly but firmly stating that I was having a heart attack. He wasn't wrong. My left arm was completely numb as I felt my head pound and my consciousness slip from my grasp. Was this how I died? From a stupid nightmare? I entered the blackness. And thus concludes part 2 of this original creepypasta. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below, along with the little bell so you can be part of the notification squad. Leave a like and a comment down below on what you think I should read. And, as always, ladies and gentlemen, have a terrifying evening.